9:16 on the morning show with Jeff and Will. We are back, and as per usual, this time on a Monday morning, though a bit of a special Monday morning as it is Valentine's Day. We hope she, as well as everybody out there, is enjoying their Valentine's Day. It's Tina Traster from the Rockland County Business Journal. Good morning, Tina. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Cupid is what do you call it? Shooting those arrows.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Lots of love. But not so much at the Clarkstown Planning Board last week.
Oh,
let's discuss this conundrum that is, we want everything delivered yesterday, so this is driving the construction and the pent-up demand to build warehouses bigger and bigger, more and more. And, you know, typically when I suppose they're in corporate parks, particularly when they're along major highways, we just kind of say that's, you know, that's progress. That means, you know, we're going to get that light bulb yesterday or whatever we order online, which is just about everything. Except when a warehouse is proposed along Route 303 in Valley Cottage, maybe not so much. So let me tell you specifically what we're talking about.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so a company known called Lincoln Equities Group is proposing to build a 220,000 square foot distribution warehouse on a 20-acre parcel that it owns at Executive Corporate Park on Route 303 in Valley Cottage. To give listeners a visual on that, if you know where Valley Cottage Animal Hospital is, the entrance to that corporate park is right across the street. So the thing is about that location, and certainly what became the focus of their first visit to Clarkstown Planning Board last week, is that Route 303 on any given day is a nightmare. You know, it's just one of those roads that has outgrown itself for its use. And even in the last, 2 years with the pandemic, people have seen just an incredible increase of truck traffic on that road. So this proposal calls for, in addition to this 220,000 square foot building, they want to put in 54 loading berths and 53 tractor trailer parking spaces.
Ooh.
Now that, I know, it's a very, very massively large proposal.
Mm-hmm.
This is what this company does, and I'll get into that in a minute. But the issue is, you know, they present a traffic report, and actually the town of Clarkstown's consultant presents a traffic report, and they say, okay, yeah, this will put, a few more trucks on the road in the peak hours, and a few more trucks on the road. I think maybe it was, I forget, maybe 60 more trucks a day, something like that. But the Clarkstown Planning Board members were not buying that was going to be the full impact, nor did they think that this applicant went far and wide enough geographically to really look at the impact. So they essentially told Lincoln Equities, sure, you studied the Gilcrest intersection and you studied the Executive Park intersection, but that doesn't really take into the full account of how this is going to impact traffic on other roads and a very tricky corner that's right in that vicinity, known as the Five Lights Corner on Lake Road. So traffic became one issue, but as did, and this I found this also interesting, they wanted to know, well, who is the tenant for this building? And Lincoln Equities would not give up that information. So, but what we know about Lincoln Equities is this. They are on a buying, developing, and selling spree, basically for large spaces, for distribution warehouses. We know that in June, they announced that Amazon was going to occupy a 360,000 square foot industrial warehouse in Rutherford, New Jersey. We know that UPS was going to lease their Lincoln Logistics Bayonne facility, also in New Jersey. And then we see that in January, Lincoln sold its Lincoln Logistics in Hicksdale, Long Island. That was the Home Depot's market distribution operation on Long Island. Now, the reason I'm outlining this is they kind of characterize this as a warehouse, but the planning board, forced them to really admit that what they're talking about is not just a warehouse, but a distribution center. So, with a warehouse, you might have some level of traffic, but with a distribution center, you're more likely to have trucks coming and going all day long. Somebody also pointed out, I think it was the town engineer, that Clarkstown's laws allow these operations to run 24/7. And this location, while it is in an industrial park, and they do say that they have an as-of right to build this project, it's very near to Valley Cottage Elementary School, another school, some churches, and not far either from, I think, within 1,000 feet of at least a residential development along Route 303, and a little bit further. What direction would that be? North, I guess. So, so they wanted to, again, they wanted this warehouse builder to reveal who the tenant would be and how, because they wanted to know, well, what can we expect? How will this function? Did not get a lot of answers there, and ultimately, one thing that was the fireworks that went on was actually I've never seen this before, but the applicant pretty much said, let us move forward on this application and we'll build this, and then if we have problems later on, we'll fix them.
Yeah.
That was rich. I've never seen that ever, and I think I cannot even tell you how many planning board meetings I have sat through. So the ever colorful Phil DiGaetano, as he always does, piped up and said, "It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way here.
Build first, ask for forgiveness later."
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I think that going to a planning board meeting is better than Netflix. The other thing about this application is they say that it's as of right, meaning that they don't need any special permits or anything like that. But what they're also asking for in front of the will eventually be asking for in front of the zoning board is to allow this project to go up to 44 feet when the limitation on height is 40 feet. And when most of the other buildings in this industrial park are between 20 and 32 feet. In their original ask before the TAC, the Technical Advisory Committee, they were going for 50 feet and had some idea that the town was going to change its zoning throughout to allow this kind of height in warehouses. I think, I understand the conflict here where the Rockland County needs to be business friendly, and certainly ratables are attractive. But this is an example of a project where I guess where the rubber meets the road, quite literally. Where you have to, where this planning board is going to really have to weigh, the ratables that a project like this will generate versus the impact on the road. Like literally just on the road and I guess quality of life. I don't know that there's anything else that can be done to Route 303 to mitigate this kind of issue. And then, of course, also I might add that residents who spoke that night pointed out that this kind of level of truck traffic is also, an environmental issue in terms of noise pollution, air pollution, particulate matter, and all of that.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. I mean, we live in the suburbs, but the suburbs have industrial parks. We depend on those ratables, but I guess where is the line? And I think that's what the planning board has in front of it, because just my impression from their presentation that night, I did not get the feeling that Lincoln Equities one was accustomed to this sort of scrutiny, and it probably makes sense, because when you look at their other projects, I think they're more deeply in industrial areas. And I think that even when asked about, well, why don't they just bring the height down to 40 instead of 44, there seemed to be a belief that not like I would say maybe a lack of flexibility was my impression, at least based on the way they answered questions. It was kind of like, this is our project, and we expect to get this approved. That was very much the impression that I got. So we will continue to watch this developing story.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, you were saying?
No, we'll see where this goes. I mean, again, these sort of things set a precedent. We have, if you go online, to rcbizjournal.com, we have a photo of the rendering, and you can see how it's really a big building.
It's interesting, though, that they're not revealing who the tenant may be. Do you have a hypothesis as to why? Because I feel like that would also help in calculating the effects it would have in the general area. Do you think there might be a specific reason, or do you have a theory, perhaps, as to why they might not be willing to share that information?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think, this is a guess, okay, I think it's probably either a Home Depot, a UPS, or something like that. The reason that they're not specifically revealing it is because they are negotiating with a tenant. They said, and I don't know if this is true, but they said it's a tenant that's already in one of their existing facilities. But I think that if they're really in the negotiating phase, they don't want to endanger those negotiations, I guess, and put it out there, although I don't really know why that would do that. They certainly could have described, given the board more detail about the way the operation would function, but they were very closed-mouthed. They were not interested, it seemed, in satisfying that curiosity. And, that we'll see what they come back with. So the takeaway was basically they said to them, well, do a more extensive traffic study. We want more details. Mm-hmm. And right now they're supposed to go in front of here's where we'll know what happens next. They're supposed to go in front of the zoning board on February 28th with their height variance. Let's see if they do that. Let's see what comes up at the zoning board. And then we'll have to see, how and when they come back to the planning board and what they come back with. But I would say it was a tense presentation, and I just think that they were not answered. They did not seem to be. I think the planning board felt that they were not forthcoming, mm-hmm. and the planning board just kind of, they had that look about like, well, send them back to the drawing board, more data, more analysis.
Right. Yeah. Well, I suppose, you could look at that as a positive in that they want more information to be absolutely certain that it's a good idea to permit that company to come in. But we will ultimately just have to see at the end of the day. And, of course, if you want more information on this to keep up to date on that and all things Rockland County Business, you can go to rcbizjournal.com. That's the Rockland County Business Journal's website, or go to their Facebook page at Rockland County Business Journal, and sign up for Tina Traster's newsletter. That's certainly something you are able to do. And thank you so much, Tina Traster, for joining us, as you do every week at this time, and we will talk to you next week.
Okay, have a great week.
You as well.